Hey friends, welcome to another episode of A Reader and a Cinephile. This month I want to try something new. Every year I devour countless movies and books that I never get the chance to talk about with anyone. This got me thinking about a unique challenge for myself. Can I review in 10 seconds or less the last 10 books I read and the last 10 movies that I watched? As someone who enjoys a deep dive via essays and long form reviews, this seems like an impossible challenge to give myself, but for you and any attention you might send this way, I'm willing to try. So here goes nothing. Let's begin with the last 10 books I've read. The Greatest Generation. America rallying around a common cause feels like something that will never happen again. Through a collection of individual stories, this book asks us to ponder deeply on this unprecedented time in human history and the people who rose up to meet the moment. The Socialist Manifesto. I wanted this book to be a lot more manifesto and a lot less history of the socialist movement. I had hoped to walk away with some policy positions, something that would hearken to the greatest issues facing humanity today. Instead, I found myself utterly disappointed. Monstrous Affections, a short story collection filled with largely forgettable horror stories that made me roll my eyes every 10 pages or so. Why we're polarized. Ezra Klein has long been one of my liberal darlings, and in this book, he paints a thought provoking portrait that masterfully explains why America is so politically divided. Dracula, a classic for a reason, and a book that left me absolutely floored. Told in a series of letters, journal entries, and newspaper stories, its structure feels commonplace now, but it must have felt revolutionary at the time. It can't happen here. I wanted more from this book. While so much of this story reflects the current political moment we find ourselves living through, I felt myself longing for an ending that might serve as a lighthouse or a beacon, something that would give us a path home. When Smoke Ran Like Water. This book serves as a history book for the modern environmental movement. Not all of its stories are equally enthralling, but the collection serves as a blueprint for steps we must take to reverse course and end the regression of environmental policy. The Planets, a deeply engaging and fascinating look at our solar system. It made me feel like a kid again, a kid who once looked up at the heavens with hopes of unraveling all of its mysteries. Chain Gang All Stars. If you are going to give away the ending of the book in the first few pages, you better make the book's actual ending worth it. Unfortunately, this book never recovers from the reveal, and the buildup doesn't feel worthy of the choice. The Ends of the World. Below our feet, the history of this planet unfolds in magical ways. This book explores the history of our planet one layer at a time. As it unfolded, I found myself amazed by how improbable our existence really is. And now let's talk about the last 10 movies that I've watched. The Samurai and the Prisoner. I found myself disappointed in this story. If you can keep track of all the characters, most of whom we never meet, then you might find this mystery a more enjoyable experience than I did. For me, the reveal didn't seem worth the effort. Schindler's List. Steven Spielberg's magnum opus, the greatest feature film ever made focused on the Holocaust. The last 10 minutes of this film still continue to wreck me. The Bike Riders. A movie that I like more than most because of its worthy attempt to demystify a counterculture movement that few of us will ever understand. If. If spends too much time world building and explaining the rules of imaginary friends, but I still enjoyed it. It made me think of all those imaginary friends who prepared me for real friendship. Pride and Prejudice. If Jane Austen were alive today, I wonder what she would think of this adaptation. For me, it's an exquisite retelling that hits all the necessary beats of the book. O Hazard Balthazar, a classic French film that left me filled with more questions than answers. Within every scene, I found myself questioning the director's choices. For me, that is never a good thing. The Odyssey. Not my favorite Nolan film, but still a really good film that serves as another entry in a resume that proves that he is our greatest living director. No one operating right now has his ambition, and for that, he should be rewarded. The Craft. I loved the first two thirds of this film, and then it devolves into a direction that felt lazy and as if the writers were unsure of how to land the plane. Saved. I was a church camp kid, a Southern Baptist church camp kid to be exact, and this film hit so many of the right notes for me. I don't know how many times I told my partner as we were watching this film, oh, that is hitting too close to home. Once Upon a Time in the West, an absolutely stunning film that I feel privileged to have seen on the big screen. I find myself still questioning some of the characters' motivations, but the directorial and cinematography choices more than make up for any of the characters' shortcomings. And those are 10 books and 10 films, each in 10 seconds, more or less. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me, but please do not let this be a one sided conversation. I would love to hear about your recent reads or recent watches. Let me know in the comments while you are typing away furiously. Please follow along by hitting that follow or subscribe button. Until next time, be good to each other.